Good morning, you beautiful people of the intro tube. I hope everything's good in your world. You are happy, you are satisfied, and you are staying warm because the weather at the moment is awful. I just want to have a quick chat about whether now is a good time to buy your narrowboat or not. The reality is, over the whole COVID pandemic, people were either defaulting on their mortgages or selling up or borrowing money from the bank, and the whole COVID thing and being around people, I think a lot of people were like quite liking the idea of being on a boat on their own away from everybody else. So everybody went for it and decided to start buying boats. In Tao though, this has put the price up for boats quite considerably because people started to notice, and the prices, like, you can add an extra £20,000 onto a boat now. It's getting a little bit ridiculous, and the price of steel has gone up because of the lack of importations and all the trouble that's gone on with COVID. If you want to get your boat built now, these slots are almost impossible to get a slot for your boat to be built, but the cost of building it from scratch because of the steel prices going up, that's now sort of out of reach for a lot of people. Marinas are adding extra money onto boats, whereas a boat would be £40,000, now they could probably sell it for 60, whereas a project boat would have been, say, £15,000. You're looking at boats now in that sort of market price now being priced at £25,000–£27,000. On our marina there was a boat, it was a 25-foot narrowboat. It was a project boat, hadn't been looked at or cared for like, I don't know, 5 years. It was in a bit of a state. She managed to sell that boat for £27,000 in the condition it was in, and it needed work, serious amount of work, right? But because the demand is so high, people are putting extra money on price of boats. The brokers who sell narrowboats, they can't get enough boats. I mean, if you go on most brokers' websites, you're going to see what would have been 3 or 4 pages of boats. Like, you could just browse through from, say, £100,000 down to, say, 8 grand. And now you go on these websites and there's just nothing. You know, they've got like 1 or 2 boats on there and they're just crying out for more boats. And the quality of project boats for sale is getting lower. Okay, so a lot of yards had a lot of project boats that couldn't be insured, or the person that owned it decided that it wasn't economically viable to carry on with the boat, so they just left it in the yard, they never came back. Okay, so that becomes the property of the yard. It sits in the yard for years, starts to get rusty and rot. But now, because demand is so high, those yards are shifting them boats on. So they're basically sanding all the rust off, putting a bit of blacking on it, a little bit of paint on it, and they're putting them out on the market, right? So those boats are now back in the water. You know, so you've got to be careful when you're buying a boat that you don't buy one of those, because it could be way beyond your financial capabilities. I'm also seeing boats like that are being fully fitted out, brand new inside, knowing the market is so high right now. They are basically fully fitting out a boat they know probably won't pass insurance and stuff, and they are fully fitting it out, knowing that the cost of welding could cost them £15,000, £20,000, depending on the size of the boat, and they're measuring that cost up against the cost of, say, a fit out, which could be 6 grand, right? This could be either people that are doing it deliberately or people that cannot afford to do it any other way, so they decided that a bit of paint, a little bit of DIY, and some lino down, fresh brand new lino, you know, paint on the walls, that a potential buyer now in the market, when it's so high, somebody who doesn't really know a lot about boats, is going to look at the advert and they're going to jump all over it. Okay, they're going to jump all over it, and what will happen is they'll realise that maybe a year down the line the floors are spongy, there's water in the village, there's either a leak or the hole on the floor needs treating, so therefore all of the fit out that the person puts in there, you're going to have to rip it out. If you go on YouTube, you're going to see this a lot. There are a lot of channels on YouTube at the moment where they've bought a boat for, say, I don't know, 16 grand, and they're in a nightmare. They're literally ripping out the whole interior of the boat, and they have to start from scratch. So they're taking it back to a shell. They'll either find out as well whilst they're doing this that the insulation isn't very good. It could be fibre wall, which absorbs moisture, so that has to come out of the walls. So all the cladding has to come off the walls. You know, like once you start something, you just have to keep going with it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's your boat now, so you're like, right, well, I might as well just strip it all off, go right back to a shell, and you start from scratch. So be wary when you're looking at potential boats that a boat that's been freshly done out, okay, that is in the age of, say, 1975 to, say, 1980. Be aware at that kind of age for a boat with brand new fit out. And I mean brand new to the fact that there's not a mark on it, right? I mean, someone should have lived in it at some point, right? So if it did last year, it'd be a little bit of, like, you know, wear and tear. If it still smells of fresh paint, you've got to think to yourself, like, well, what are they masking here? You know? So be aware of that, okay? That you can either buy an absolute project shell, which costs you a few thousand to plate it, and then it's going to cost you a few thousand to fit it out, and then that cost will probably end up being what a boat used to be before the pandemic, project boat. And as I said, pardon me, I've got like the sniffles today, that's why I haven't done the video for a while. Or a freshly painted boat that basically needs plating and they can't bother to do it, and they're just gonna fit it out and try and get rid of their problem to you, okay? And as I was saying earlier, building boats from scratch is more expensive now than ever. Steel prices have gone up. Painting the boat is going up. I mean, everything is going up. Everything. I mean, like, services are going to go up, you know, like if you need to come out to do blacking, the price of that's going to go up. The price of blacking itself is going to go up. All your tools and bits are going to go up. It's going to get expensive, you know, like it's going to go up a lot. So my honest opinion right now, if you're thinking about buying a boat, is wait till this whole Brexit thing and COVID passes, okay? Because the prices that people are asking now are astronomical. They're ridiculous. If you go on Facebook Marketplace and you see people selling boats, the prices are they're just a joke. You know, it's like, if you know what you're looking at, you're asking yourself, like, how can you ask £40,000 for a project boat that is, like, you know, it's going to need 2 years worth of work on it, you know? So my honest advice would be, think hard about what it is you actually really want, okay? And don't rush into it. At the moment, I'm going to say honestly, from the bottom of my heart, it's the wrong time to buy a boat, because you're going to get stung, right? Within 24 months, people are adding on £20,000 extra onto boats. Right, this is my opinion, okay? This is my opinion. There's people are going to comment and say, oh, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, that. If someone wants, a boat's worth what someone wants to pay for it, right? But that's not the point. There is a market value. There is a standard set for boat prices. And I'm being really honest, right? It's boaters that are going to rip potential wannabe boaters off right now, which I think is quite sad, to be honest, because they're taking advantage. They are. Because these newbies who come onto the canal don't know the price of boats that well, and they think, oh yeah, £45,000, that's quite a good deal, isn't it? Yeah, but it's not. Like, the boat's worth about 25, okay? You're getting stung for 15 grand or more by other boaters, who are cowboys, by the way, probably don't even really live on a canal that much, probably like on the weekends or whatever. So my honest opinion is, I would say, give it a couple of years. Right, 24 months, it's not long, right? 24 months, let the prices settle back down again. Let everything sort of stabilise, get back on track. Let the COVID go, all right? Because right now this is the highest it's ever been to own a boat. You know, ours we bought way back as a project, and we were really lucky. We got ours for like, you know, 6.5 grand, and now it's probably worth like 3 times that. Well, 4 times that now, easily. You know, with the market at its current value. But I'm not the sort of person to go selling my boat and taking the pee out of somebody, because I just don't think that's right. You know, a boat's worth what I think it's worth in a reasonable standard. You know, like, not, oh, okay, I'm going to mug someone off for their savings, because it's just wrong, right? It's just wrong. It's just not nice at all, man, to be sort of that kind of person, you know. So give it some time. Give it some serious thought, but give it some time. Let this COVID business pass. Let all these restrictions go. Let the travel restrictions sort of sort themselves out, and then see if the prices go down for importing of steel, if you want to make a boat from scratch and get someone to build it for you. But I do think the prices are going to drop soon, because people who are on the boats now who panic bought because of the COVID, once this all sorts itself out, they're going to want to go back on holiday. They're probably going to be thinking, oh, do I want to spend the money of leaving my boat in a marina? Is the boat becoming too much of a burden? And you know what's going to happen? It's going to go back on the market. There'll be hundreds of boats for sale, because they'll go, no, I can't bother with this. It's too much effort. And they'll be selling them left, right and centre. And then when the market gets flooded, the price goes down again. Not by a lot, but it'll go down a fair bit. You could save yourself 10 grand, you know. Bank loans are going to go up, the interest charges as well. So think about that. But I would say let it settle. Don't rush into it. Wait a bit. You could potentially save yourself 10 to 15 grand if you just wait until maybe like next year or the year after, and get all your ducks in a row, you know. Get everything planned and sorted, and, you know, because I know people are passionate about wanting to do it and that, but like, don't do what we did. Buy a project unseen and don't get it surveyed, because you'll have the nightmare that we went through. You'll have that, okay, and I'll be talking about that in another video. But yeah, so take your time, all right, and let it settle, all right, then spend your money, all right, because there's a lot of cowboys out there right now willing to take every penny you've got. All right, like, subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.